This is J. Krishnamurti's second discussion with students in Paris, 1969.
I should think it must be a great concern, especially when one is very young, seeing what the world is, confused, wars, bureaucratic governments, and so much confusion, misery. What is the right thing to do among all this mess? What should one do? How should one act, behave? Marriage, no marriage, girlfriend, boyfriend, set up a family, enter a bureaucratic world, join the army or not the army, which profession to take, what kind of job, whether to be completely materialistic or little bit spiritual and mostly materialistic, or very spiritual and very little materialistic. It must be a tremendous problem. For the old, it's more or less settled, they're finished. They're on their way out. And for the young, it must be a really agonizing problem, if they're at all serious. So would you like to discuss that?
Do you understand my bad English?
Yes, sir. Speak in French, it doesn't matter.
Vous comprenez le français?
Oui, oui.
Ce que j'ai remarqué de très important, c'est qu'il est toujours très dangereux de déléguer le moindre de ses pouvoirs. On en a déjà très peu. De donner le pouvoir à quelqu'un d'agir pour vous ou de parler pour vous est très dangereux.
Oui.
Et autre question, ce que vous avez dit dimanche dernier sur la peur était très intéressant. Quelle est l'origine de la peur? Est-ce que c'est
We'll go into that, sir. May we go on tomorrow evening into that?
tomorrow?
Tomorrow evening, I'm going to talk, we'll go into that because we must continue with the question of fear tomorrow afternoon.
If we could continue with what you started today.
Could we go on with what we started today?
Yes.
Personally, I had no choice in the matter. I've always done what I think is the right thing to do, which is what I'm doing now. There's been no question of family, money, wanting to be famous, popular, right or not right, speak. I just did what I want to do. And it hasn't become a profession, because I've also stopped talking to test for myself whether I relied on talking, having an audience in front of me. I lived a great deal alone, wandered about in the mountains by myself. I played all kinds of tricks on dietary. So seeing all that, I wonder what you're all going to do, what one does in life. How do we approach this problem? Fragmentarily, or take the whole content of life, which is one has to earn a livelihood. One may have or may not have family. There is the question of sex. One has to have money. One has to live in a place, have a house or a room with a bath or no bath. How do we approach this thing as a whole, or do you want to approach it fragmentarily? Job first and everything else afterwards, or family first and everything else separate? Or is it a thing to be approached all round, you know what I mean? Totally.
I think we're obliged to approach it totally.
Bipan, sir?
I think we're obliged to approach it totally.
I wonder if we do see the thing totally.
I don't think
That is, I mean, there is, do we see it fragmentarily or totally? And is it possible to see it totally when one is young? Totally means, you know what I mean? There's the whole question of religion, the religious feeling, the feeling of dedication to something real, not just phony invention of a church or a priest, something for oneself, which is true for, if it is true for me, it is true for everybody else. And there's the question of sex. What importance has it in life? Little or much, or is the only thing that matters? Then there's the question of love. Death. There is this immense map of life. Will I take one part of that map and say, well, I'm going to devote my life, whether it is science, mathematics, archaeology, or theoretical physics, or do you want to take the whole map of this life and say, well, if I can understand the whole of it, then if I do take a little part, it's all right. The little is contained in the whole. I should think this must be a tremendous thing, tremendous problem. So, how do you, from that question arises, how can one see the whole of it? Not job, love, separately, but a total perspective of this thing. And I think if one could see the whole thing prospectively, then whatever we do will be right.
C'est une question d'harmonie.
No, ce n'est pas une question d'harmonie, mais no, sir, it isn't harmony. Look, sir,
Beaucoup de gens s'identifient à leur spécialisation, que ça les empêche de voir le tout. Croyez-vous cela?
no, you and I, sir, let's forget what people say. I mean, if I was 30, 20, that would be my problem. or even 40. That would be my problem. To become a communist? No, I wouldn't do that because I see the game of it. I see the fallacy of it. Or to become a religious Catholic or Protestant or a social worker or Peace Corps or enter a particular job. And inwardly, there is the problem of sex, problem of living with oneself peacefully, the question of what love is, whether one can love, the loneliness, the misery, all that going on, battling inside one. And there is the environment which says, do this, don't do that, this is right, this is wrong. You follow? Can I see this whole thing as a map? And then from the map, I know which road to take, where the rivers are, where the towns are, where all the rest of it. How to walk, where to climb, where to be quiet, look in the forest. I will know. Can we look at this whole complex thing called life that way? And if we can't, then mere choosing a fragment is most disastrous. It's like a scientist who is only concerned with a particular little field, or an engineer, So can we go into this? Not you, madam. Can we go into this? So the first question I would ask is, how can I not only see this whole thing visually, but also have a feeling for this whole map? Because the feeling matters much more than the intellectual perception of it. Because the feelings are going to dictate my life. Whether reasonable or unreasonable, they are the power, the drive, the energy.
So I think we are too anxious
Come on.
to find out. We are too anxious to find out the solution of all the little details, the little problems. If you can't have this look at the whole, this global kind of approaching the matter, we are too after the response of questions.
You mean there are two immediate problems to be solved?
Yes, I think.
And so we can't see the whole design of this existence? Is that it?
Yes, I think that is preventing us.
There's immediate problems of livelihood, immediate problems of the urges of biological urges of sex, and immediate problem of food. Is that what is preventing us? Which stops us from looking at this whole design, this whole contour of this life? Is that so? Is that actually so?
Maybe not the question of food for in this country is not so
Pressing.
difficult, but we are wanting for ourselves a kind of security. We are seeking always.
That's it. Is that the one thing that's so important, security, that you want to neglect the rest? that you don't, that prevents you from seeing the rest? Bread and butter, security, job, which is actually prevent each one of us seeing this whole map? I wonder if it is so.
Oui, mais cette sécurité, ce la nuit noire, c'est à la nuit noire qui nous empêche
Vous croyez?
de voir.
Vous croyez?
C'est vrai, moi je crois, oui.
Je ne crois pas.
Quelqu'un qui vraiment s'identifie à cette
No, I don't think so, sir. I think security is the primary thing that's driving us.
sûr de soi.
La sécurité, c'est
Comment, madame?
I think we don't like suffering.
We don't like suffering.
We don't like insecurity.
What?
We don't like insecurity.
insecurity. He says we don't want to be insecure.
Insecure. Is that the thing? Please listen to my question. Is that the thing, insecurity, preventing you from seeing the whole?
La sécurité.
Can't I? Though I may want security, is that preventing me seeing the whole map of life?
Could be.
But
Could be.
is it?
Well,
Because if that was my problem, I want to find an answer. Not could be, maybe, should be. I said, what am I to do in this world? I have no time to sit down and say, could be, maybe, should, whatever might be. I say, here is the question. What am I to do?
C'est la peur de l'inconnu, la sécurité.
Comment?
C'est la peur de l'inconnu, la sécurité.
The peur de?
L'inconnu, on se sent.
No, mon cher. No, I'm afraid we are not understanding each other. Is it a particular fear that prevents the perception of the whole? Because I must have food, clothes, and shelter. I must have it. And is that the thing that's preventing me from seeing this, the whole existence of life in which I have to live and act? Why should I choose one segment of it? Like I must have security.
La sécurité peut être un empêchement pour comprendre la fausse sécurité, la fausse assurance d'une situation.
No, mon cher. No, sir, dude, I'm afraid we are not understanding each other.
Oui, on ne se comprend pas. Je crois que nous ne parlons pas de la même chose.
Oui, la même chose, voilà.
Peut-on répéter en français?
We are all made in individuals.
Huh?
We are all made in individuals, and we are all referring all things to ourselves. And because we are doing this, we can't see.
No. Don't you want to find out what to do?
yes.
Huh?
Yes.
All right. If you want to find out what to do in this world, how do you begin? Listen, there is security, insecurity. There is this question of family, sex, love. There is the whole religious question, which you may say that's nonsense, but it is there. You can't say it is nonsense. It's there. There's the question of death. What to do? Say, go and kill for the country. You follow, sir, that the world is so confused. And I am part of that world. And I say, what am I to do?
What in you to do,
Comment?
frère? What is the meaning for you to do?
What does it mean for me to do, to act? For me, the action must touch every part of my life, not just one segment of it. And that action must be complete in everything I touch. Intellectually, emotionally, sexually, religiously. You follow what I mean? Everything I touch must be complete in action, not fragmentary. Otherwise I shall be broken up, I shall be contradictory, miserable.
And you don't think that's a question of harmony?
And no, not, if you say harmony, sir, that's a difficult word. That's why I'm hesitating.
Yes.
That's what for me action is. Let's keep to that word for the moment till as we understand it. An action that will be complete in whatever I am doing. And therefore, it must be related to everything. I can't say, well, I'll devote my whole life to science. Science. Science.
Yes.
That would be absurd. Or I must become an astrophysicist. So, an action that will be complete in everything I do. That for me is action, in which there is no contradiction. If I have sex, it won't be contradicted to your religious life. You follow, sir?
Yes,
If I have money, it won't be in contradiction to something else. So it must be a life of action that will be not contradictory, not fragmentary, not creating difficulties in itself, so that it will be a happy life. Now, how are you?
The action is inevitable, that we'll do some action.
Oh, but that's just, of course, we'll do some action, but that's...
Once you make the action in one direction, taking for granted that you're going in a right direction, you're searching for something, and once you've made an action, doesn't it mean that you put the comprehension that you're capable of into that action?
No, sir. No, wait a minute, sir. We're not meeting each other. Is it comprehension first and action afterwards? Or comprehension is action?
Comprehension about what, sir? The actions are in different fields. What would be the nature of such a comprehension that would act in every field?
Intelligence. I mean, that word is a very difficult word. I may be terribly intelligent in mathematics, or in getting a very good job and making a very best of it. But I might lead a shoddy little life elsewhere. You know what I mean? So if there is an intelligence, it must be operative in every way, in every act I do. Are you interested in all this?
Yes.
I think we haven't understood the meaning of love.
Now, we haven't understood the meaning of love. Is that what is preventing us from seeing the whole, an act which will be complete in everything I do? Is that what's because I have no love? And what does love mean? Is love sex, pleasure, desire, jealousy, the drive for ambition, of success?
Comprehension.
Huh?
Comprehension.
Is it what? Love an abstract comprehension?
So, as you spoke of your own life, it appears to me that when we want to lead this kind of life, there first has to be a terrible silence.
Sir,
We don't-
I understand that, sir. Forget my life. I'm just telling you.
This is in my life I'm speaking now. We have to pass through a silence, for we don't know at all how to act. So we have to start with the silence. We have to understand, and I think we are afraid of this silence. Of this.
Sir, look, sir, please, sir, don't introduce factors which you don't know. Then you get lost. Then we get theoretical. Here are facts. Facts, not something I can theorize about. Here is a fact. Fact that I have to live in this world. Fact of sex. Fact of ambition. Fact of sorrow. Fear. The uncertainty. These are all facts, right? And what am I to do with them? Because I am those facts. I'm uncertain, I want sex, I want home, I want love, I want to be a great man, I want to be plenty of money. You follow?
But we have energy to start with, and somewhere we want to do an action with it. Or without even comprehension, which when we're younger than perhaps we are now, we inevitably make an action of some direction, either pushed by our parents or society or
Yes,
somehow.
and therefore it becomes what? Such action, I'm pushed by environment, I do something. Then it'll be a contradiction to something else.
I didn't get that.
I am pushed by environment to do certain act. That action will be in contradiction to something else I want to do.
Exactly, it could be.
It generally is. So I live like that way. I'm pushed in this direction and I'm pulled in and at the end of my life I'm just shot to pieces. It's a destructive way of living.
Exactly.
So I say to myself, what am I to do which will be true, which will be complete in everything I touch?
I think the reason of doing is love and not idea. When you do,
So that becomes a theory. I don't want to indulge in theory. I don't know what love is. Most of us don't know what love is.
many people have ideas.
And therefore, those are mere theories.
Yes,
And I say we are dealing with facts and not with ideas.
yes, that's bad to deal with ideas. Because your idea is not the idea from the neighbor. And when you impose your idea to somebody, it's bad.
Of course, that's understood.
Yes.
So that is my question. What is one to do? I repeat it again. Given all these facts, how am I to live?
There must be a choice.
Huh?
There must be a choice of a name.
There must be choice or a purpose or an aim in life. He says that. Now, watch that. There must be choice, purpose, a principle in life that will be, I keep that in front of my eye.
Not really a principle, but something you want to reach at the end.
Yes, a principle, and leave out a principle, a choice, right? Let's take that word choice. How am I to choose amongst all these?
He said something, a goal you want to reach at the end.
A goal you want to reach at the end. That goal may be projected by my own desire. You understand? Because I'm unhappy, torn to pieces, I don't know. And my goal is enlightenment. You follow? Something marvelous. That becomes an idea. And therefore I don't want to deal with ideas. If I'm hungry and you give me food in words, I say, please take your words, ideas away, I want food.
On doit être intensément éveillé.
Comment, madame?
Qu'est-ce que comprendre réellement? Qu'est-ce que comprendre réellement? Parce qu'on peut comprendre intellectuellement beaucoup de choses. On peut comprendre que le nationalisme est un danger, on peut comprendre que, je sais pas, la jalousie évidemment crée beaucoup de problèmes, enfin, etc., mais ça ne change pas intellectuellement, enfin, de voir ça, ça ne change rien, on est toujours pareil. Qu'est-ce que comprendre réellement? Si vous pouvez parler un peu.
What is real understanding, young man?
Yes, I understood, sir.
Je crois qu'à propos de comprendre réellement, il y a un très gros problème dans votre forme d'expression. Parce que vous posez beaucoup de questions, et en posant des questions, vous provoquez des réponses. Or, vous savez très bien que ce n'est pas avec des mots qu'on comprend réellement.
C'est ça, vous avez raison. Oui, oui. So, then what am I, look sir, then what am I to do? What is communication if I don't...
Et ne croyez-vous pas, monsieur, que à chaque fois qu'on vous répond, on vous répond avec notre arrière-plan, avec notre conditionnement?
Chacun doit chercher en lui-même la propre résonance de ce qui s'est dit, du dialogue, et chercher à trouver la solution lui-même, la compréhension de soi-même.
Sir, comprehension is in oneself. I can't give it to you and you can't give it to me. What we can do is to look at this. Look at this immense problem of living and find out how to live. If I may ask, what is the difficulty?
Je crois qu'on confond souvent comprendre et expliquer ou s'expliquer, c'est-à-dire formuler avec des mots.
So, aren't you faced with this problem apart from words? Aren't you faced with this?
Yes, very much, but I find it difficult to place the question or to place any answer because...
No, aren't you first faced with this problem?
Very much.
All right,
Absolutely.
wait. You are faced with this problem, right? All of us. Now, how do you respond to it? What is your reaction to it? Natural, not forced, not invented, not something that is convenient for this moment. What's your response when you're confronted with this thing? Do you say, well, I like that and I don't like this? I will go after that and not all this? Will you exclude all this because you want one thing?
I'm confused because I don't know the tradition which is influencing me, and I don't know where to begin, really.
I don't know where to begin because I'm caught in the tradition. If one is caught in tradition, sir, and you are aware of it, you throw it. You get rid of the beastly thing.
But I still find it influencing me. I don't get rid of it so easily.
You can't get rid of it so easily. Is that what is preventing me, you, and another tradition from understanding or finding out what to do when confronted with all this? Aren't you? You see how you're answering me? You're answering in little bits. You say tradition, you say uncertainty, another says insecurity. I must understand, I have no love. You follow? Those are all little bits. So the little bits are prevent you from understanding, right?
Yes.
So you begin to say, by Joe, look what I'm doing. I want to understand, look at this whole phenomenon, and I'm taking little bits of it. So can I not take little? I want to absorb the whole thing.
I think there's a lack of real interest.
I think so, sir. That's just it. I think there is a lack. I'm not criticizing, please. I'm just. I think there is a lack of not only interest, but the urge. Lack of, life in France or in America or in Europe generally is fairly comfortable. Fairly, I don't say very. So you say, avanti. Let's go, laissez aller. So let's begin then, the other way around. Discontent is necessary, isn't it? Last May, all those students burnt up nearly Paris. Discontent. Are you discontented? Not discontented with the goal, with the establishment, new set of rules. Please listen to my question first. Discontent, not with something, but the flame of discontent. Wait, sir. No, don't you so quickly answer me, please. Just go little by little. It's very easy to be discontented with the little room I'm living in. Because I want a bigger room. I want more space. Or I'm discontented with my wife. I want better wife. I'm discontented with my ideas. They're stupid ideas. I want some better ideas, more intellectual, this or that. So there is discontentment with something. That is, I don't like the environment I am living in, therefore I am discontent. That's it. That discontent is entirely different from discontent. Not with anything, but the flame of discontent. You understand what I mean?
Yes.
Now, which is it? Are you discontented with something or discontent? Because if you are discontent with something, you will soon find something and you will be satisfied. Better house, you will find a better house, perhaps a better wife or a better girl or something else. And you will be satisfied at the end of a year, and there you are, finished. And you have destroyed the discontent, smothered it. So I'm not talking of that kind of discontent. I'm talking of a fire that cannot be put out by the goal, by the police, by nobody.
So if you see that you have the other discontent, the discontent with, and that you don't know this discontent, which is without, what is the
Quite right.
approach?
Quite right, sir. The question is, most of us are discontent with something. Now, how is a mind that is discontent with something to become discontented in itself, right? Now, look what takes place. Look at the question. Please, very interesting. Do follow that question. How am I, who I am, discontented with something? How is that discontent to change into the other, right? Now, if I see, not verbally, intellectual, but actually see the absurdity of discontentment with something, the other is there. I'll never be satisfied with anything. You understand? I wonder if I'm conveyed it. Because discontentment with something means I want satisfaction. Right? I want to be satisfied, I want to be gratified with the environment, with this, with that. My principle, my drive there is not discontent, but the search for satisfaction. Right? In the other, there is no satisfaction at any time.
So, if somebody asked, what is the value and what is the point of this other discontent? If one listens with great critical,
yes, what is the point?
Why should I be discontent?
I'll show you. What is the point of such a discontent, he is asking. Right? What's the point of it? What do you think is the point of having such flame? The one is mediocrity, right? The essence of bourgeoisism. The other is not. The other, with that one creates, one moves, one lives, one changes, one.
So what is the difference between that discontent and restlessness?
Restlessness is fairly simple. So, no, don't let's introduce something which is fairly clear, restlessness. Most of, restlessness is not discontent, it has nothing to do with discontent. If I am restless, I take a pill and I find out a way to be quiet. But we are talking, sir, why are we not consumed with a flame? Like an artist, he paints a picture and he gets some money, he goes along. Thoroughly happy, sometimes dissatisfied, discontent, but he is putting out from that discontent. He'll soon find contentment. He becomes a very famous man, or is not a good painter, then becomes second-rate painter, and he says, my God, how can I ever be? And so he fights a little battle with himself. But we are talking of a discontent that never finds a satisfaction. It's a fire that's always burning. Which is it we have? The discontent with something,
We have the discontent of something and the idea of the other.
quite right, sir. Discontent with, seeking satisfaction, which we call discontent, and an idea of the other. So, by Joe, I wish I could have the other. You can't have the other. You follow? If you want satisfaction, you can't have the other. Satisfaction being gratification, fulfillment, the becoming somebody famous permanently. You follow? All that is satisfaction, gratification. And that's a very cheap stuff. You can very easily get it. So if the mind is seeking satisfaction, it cannot possibly have the other. So is that what's the matter with us?
Why can't we have the other one? Why should it prevent to have the other one?
Come on.
Why,
Satisfaction, little satisfaction prevent.
why should satisfaction prevent us from having that other discontent?
Oh, it's fairly clear, isn't it? If my mind is always seeking satisfaction, in marriage, in relationship, in job, in, I don't know, all the time seeking satisfaction, how can such a mind have the other, which is no satisfaction at all? Please understand what we're talking about. What do we mean by satisfaction?
Somewhere at the thing we wanted. We have an ideal, and when we get something which is not too far of it, then we are satisfied.
Now, what does the word satisfaction mean in itself, sir? Not the meaning of, the feeling of that word, to be satisfied.
Satis means enough, and
enough
means making.
Yeah.
In other words, to make oneself fulfilled.
Yeah, that's why I use the word fulfill.
When we think we have done enough.
When I say, well, I want a house first, little house, it doesn't matter, but little bigger house later. Little money, more money. Is that, why does the mind seek satisfaction?
It can go to sleep afterwards.
I wonder, are you following this, or does it mean anything? Huh? Why do we want satisfaction?
It is pleasure of some kind.
Pleasure of some kind. Huh?
The pain of discontentment.
Now, sir, look, is there such thing as ever being satisfied? I want more and more and more and more, right? Not less and less and less. Is there, can the mind be ever satisfied? Is there such thing as permanent satisfaction?
We realize that we're not going to get satisfaction out of what exactly we're doing, or our house, or our children, or family, and so on. Finally, we'll never get that satisfaction out of it.
So then what do you do? So do you question by saying, is there at any time complete satisfaction? If there isn't, why should I pursue that?
So, that's as far as I get.
We don't see it in the moment of creation of discontentment. For instance, if we answer wrongly to a challenge, there is a pain, so there is the desire to fulfill, to change that pain into contentment. At that time, we don't see that we can never stop seeking fulfillment and finding satisfaction. Theoretically, when we are cool, yes, we can see it, but in the moment of action, we don't see it.
So why do you separate action from
Satisfaction is something constructed by the mind.
No, sir. Find out, sir. Watch yourself. Don't you want to be satisfied? Having a good job, doing something which will give you satisfaction. Sex, satisfaction. For the mind is doing this to be. Why? I study at the Sorbonne, get a degree, and that will give me a job, and I'm satisfied. Or I say to myself, I'll retire from everything and look at myself and find enlightenment through myself, and at the end of it, I'm awfully delighted with it. Why? I'll become a communist, and all the rest. It's the same thing. Why does the mind want satisfaction? It wants it, and it has never questioned whether there is any permanent satisfaction. If there is no permanent satisfaction, then why seek it? Wait, but repos momentané, what is it for? No, you're not facing.
It's very subtle and obscure. It isn't that one says, I'm going to go after this to get satisfaction. There's a certain sort of drive which is perhaps not wholly visible, and different drives of this kind make us do all the actions of life. So it's very difficult to say this is the seeking for satisfaction and that isn't. And so
No,
I do
sir.
this, but I don't do that.
No. I said the mind deeply, most of us, seek satisfaction. I don't say, well, this is not self. They demand. They demand
colored with the desire for
satisfaction. And I'm questioning. I mean, most of us want that.
Yes, but we don't. It's not isolated.
No.
From
I
the
say
contingencies of life.
No. That's all the time. There is the urge to be satisfied.
And there are other things too mixed up with it.
Of course, but the major. I began with this evening by asking, what is one to do, right? Faced with all this.
Complexities of life.
Yeah, faced with this, what am I to do? Is my action based on satisfaction? You follow now? And if it is based on satisfaction, will that satisfaction endure right through life? I find something to do in one thing, and I'm satisfied with that, and is that the end of my life? Or everything is doing something, influencing, strain, stress, to break up that little satisfaction. I'm satisfied with my wife, right? She's nice and all the rest of it. And one good morning, she looks at somebody else. And I'm completely lost, jealous, There it is. I have a job and somebody is going ahead of me. I'm finished. I'm lost. I'm miserable. I am not as intellectually clever as you are, and I'm unhappy. So this goes on, right? So I say, why, if there is nothing complete in satisfaction, why pursue it?
What is to be pursued?
Huh?
What is to be pursued? Qu'est-ce qu'il faut poursuivre?
Rien.
Le parallèle, la satisfaction, we are really needing. This is why we are always pursuing.
No, sir. No, no.
It's like saying, well, I'm going to die anyway, just why should I eat?
Huh? I'm going to die?
What you said, it's like saying, well, I will die someday anyway, why should I eat? Keep
Oh, no. No, madam. It isn't like that, is it? I'm not putting that question at all. I'm saying something entirely different.
Se dire satisfait, c'est toujours comparer deux états. Un qui est l'un par rapport à l'autre.
Oui.
Je suis
Je
satisfait,
sais,
j'ai mangé, je
alors,
me
mais
rappelle que
quoi?
j'avais faim. Ou je voulais quelque chose, je l'ai eu, je suis satisfait par rapport au manque que j'avais avant.
But so in every action we do, like gardening, driving a car, there's a certain sort of pleasure from a job well done. Isn't this in a way satisfaction?
No,
If we
sir.
go around denying
No,
satisfaction,
you see,
is
you're...
there any kind of action
I am
at all
not
which
saying...
will be
Sir,
sufficient?
you're misunderstanding my statement. Let's make it clear. Let's begin again. We said discontentment with something is the search for satisfaction, right?
Yes.
That's very clear. And I'm satisfied one day with this, and the next day I'm dissatisfied with that. I want something else. So my life is a constant battle of satisfaction and dissatisfaction, right? That's my one's life. Wanting and not wanting. Battle.
Yes.
And in that state, whatever I do is and must be confusing. Of course. No? One day I do something that's very satisfying, and next day I see how absurd it is. What a silly ass I've been to do that. So there's a battle going on. And I say, an action based on this kind of background of battle, satisfaction and dissatisfaction must inevitably lead to misery, right? Must inevitably lead to confusion. And that's our life, right? And I ask myself, is there a different way of living, acting, and not seeking satisfaction, which becomes dissatisfaction a week later? I don't know if I think I've made myself clear now.
Why can't we just live without giving names?
I know that sounds very nice, but we do. I mean, he asked me, what are you wanting? I said nothing. And I really mean nothing. From nothingness one can act. And that's the greatest action. But we won't go into that. That's a very complex thing. So when one is young, one wants so many things. And quite rightly, you see.
But how is it possible to act when you want nothing?
I'm sorry that requires a great deal of going into. Sir, what is love? Is love something? Is love my wife? Love my sex? Love my pleasure? Is love jealousy? Now when you have removed not my wife, my pleasure, my satisfaction, my jealousy, then what is love? You know. Mustn't one be nothing to love? If you are something, can you love? Can you love if you are ambitious? If you are a big politician, can you love? Or a big financier? Or a big actor? No, sir. That's why one has to, you know, you can't play with words. It's only when you are absolutely nothing. Love is.
No definition for love, intellectual.
I'm not defining, sir. I am not defining. You can look, for the definition you can look in a dictionary. But I don't want to define it. Definition of words of what love is not love. It's like describing what kind of food you get at Tour d'Argent or in de Magot and say, well, describe it and I'm hungry. That doesn't satisfy me. No. Remove jealousy. Have no jealousy. No envy. No ambition. Because I see an ambitious man can never love. Because he's concerned with himself. Whether he's an artist, whether he's a poet, whether he's an engineer, or the ordinary man, if he's concerned with himself first, there is no love.
The preparation of love, c'est la partie négative, preparation.
C'est ça. To be nothing is to love. Which doesn't mean I become a doormat, that anybody can walk over me. Oh no. To have no ideal at all, but only facts. No idea. So I won't go into all that. That's quite a different thing. So let's come back to what we're talking about.
Yes, which is the movement to nothingness?
Which is the movement to nothingness? I'll tell you. Which is the movement to nothingness, he's asking. Nothingness.
That means no jealousy, no...
There is no way to it. So this... So let us... You have to answer my question, or we haven't gone into it. What am I to do in this life? I've got this whole life in front of me. I won't go into that for the moment. What am I to do in this life? So that I live and act without any contradiction. Otherwise, I don't live at all. I live in contradictions. And that is, I live in misery. So can I live without satisfaction. And so act all the time. Whether I'm choosing a pair of shoes, or going for a walk, you find no sense of being, wanting to be satisfied.
What do you think about hate? Is it an instinctive question?
What do you think about hate? Is it instinctive? What is hate, sir? Do you hate if you have no fear?
I think I hate when I don't love.
No, wait, sir. Do you hate when there is no resistance?
Do I hate when there is no resistance? Never.
That's it.
Never.
Exactly.
And when there is a resistance,
There is hate.
I don't.
No?
No.
Huh? We haven't understood, sir. I resist you. Because you want my property. Or my wife. You impose your ideas against mine. Or you threaten my ideas. Or my belief. My position. My prestige. Then I hate you. You take away something which is mine. I feel which is mine. Right? My wife, my property, my this or that. I hate you then.
But when you hate somebody who hates you, you do the same game.
Of course, you play the same game.
Vous entrez dans son rouage, dans son
C'est ça, on rouage, c'est ça. So, the question is there hate if there is no resistance, if there is no arrogance, if there is no aggression?
So are there not things that one should resist? If my
Wait.
manager wants to run my...
If my
I
manager,
write books and the editor tells me what to write.
if my manager, or if my wife, or if the editor, or the man who buys my picture say, shall I conform to what they want? Certainly not.
Then you resist it.
I don't know. That's not resistance. So what does resistance mean? Oh, see, what does resistance mean? I resist anything that threatens me. Me, my wife, my property, my furniture, my belief, my God, my country, my investment in the country, right? My investment in my wife or her investment in me, anything that threatens me. Me identified with so many things.
So many people have told me, sir, I eat meat because I don't want to resist my wife. She serves meat, so I eat it. Isn't this...
No. Because my wife eats meat, I must also eat meat.
Otherwise I'm resisting her if I insist on not eating meat.
My wife believes in what? Catholicism or communism. I don't. And must I yield to my wife? And if I don't yield, is that resisting my wife? Huh? Good God.
Possible to resist without hating.
No, sir. No. No, I said look, sir, I said anything that threatens me identified with my property, with my belief, with my God, with my job, with my wife, you follow me, with all this identification, when that is threatened, I resist.
I have to resist.
Not have to, you do.
I do it.
Yeah.
I do it.
You do it. But if there is no me identified with 1,000 things, I have no resistance.
So I let someone take my house then?
Certainly not, sir. But if my wife says,
My house?
wait. If my wife...
I want your house.
No, wait.
And I'm threatened because I'll be out in the street. So I say, I won't resist him. I see that I'm resisting because I'm being threatened.
No, sir.
Therefore, I won't
No,
resist.
wait, just
I'll give him the house.
that, wait a minute. I also need a shelter. Then I'll be thrown out. I'll be exactly in the same position as he was. So, I want to perhaps change the whole economic, social structure of society, which will provide the man with a house and property.
He's got 5 other houses, but he also wants mine.
Ah, man, I'm sorry, you go and live in their 5 houses.
No, but he has some sort of way of taking my house.
Then I have to resist. I go to a lawyer, a clever lawyer or no clever lawyer, I find out to battle with the bird.
Well, there you are, sir.
I know, no, sir. No, that's entirely different.
I have
That's,
a society, I'm a writer.
no, sir. No, wait, don't go from one thing to the other. Stick to one thing. You want my house. Huh? I have one house. I haven't got 10 houses. I have one house. I have to live in it. If you throw me out, I'll be exactly in the same position as you were without a house. So I say, my concern is not just to yield a house, but I want to change the social, economic, the mentality of mankind so that everybody will have a house. I haven't a house, fortunately, right? So that's one thing. But if somebody says, if my wife says, I want to leave you and go with another man, I say, all right. Huh? Why should I be jealous? Why should I be angry, frightened, resist? Psychologically, that's much more than the other. Well, sir, we better stop.
So, one question. You spoke of a state in which you're no longer seeking satisfaction, in which there's a feeling of discontent. How are we to avoid setting this up as an ideal to reach?
Come on. How am I
How are
to...
we to avoid making an ideal out of this flame that you were talking about?
How am I to avoid an ideal, making an ideal of the flame which I'm talking about? It is not an ideal.
But for us, it's not a reality.
Therefore,
Walk out of here and I say,
throw it out. What is important is the fact. The fact is that I am discontented with something, which is my desire for satisfaction, and I find that soon evaporates, disappears, and I want more satisfaction in something else. In that I'm caught, right? That is a fact. Now then I ask myself, that's so stupid way of living. Is there a different way of living? I question, I break through that. I don't make the other into a flame, the other flame into an ideal, that becomes another idea. I think we better stop, don't you? Sorry.